are. Rhythm, we've also tracked the Westminster Court hearing, in fact, on 25th of February, where all the charges, in fact, Westminster Court had taken cognizance of CBI's probe against Nirav Modi. In fact, if you could take our viewers through what the Westminster Court had said a couple of months back and how it was a big diplomatic win for India at that time as well and now as well, when UK Home Department has given a clearance for his extradition.
Absolutely. At a time when all of us are glum with COVID, this is a reason to smile, and that's what all of us are going to be doing here, Sanika. The judge, when they were recording this, had said we have 16 volumes of evidence and information from the Indian government, 16 bundles of expert reports and defense evidences. The 83-page order had come out from the judge on 25th February, which was a remarkable order when they said there is money laundering, there is prima facie evidence of witness tampering and threats to witnesses. Nirav, in fact, had then been told to give details, after which there was the judgment that had said their passports were taken away. The Indian agencies had also supplied transcripts of audio recordings that Nirav had with his brother Nehal and a number of dummy directors that were there. The conversations the court order observed, and now I'm taking our viewers through the court order on the basis of which Priti Patil, UK Home Secretary, has today found it fine and right to give India extradition of Nirav back. The conversation showed Nehal placed pressure on individuals to make untruthful statements, the order says. In a conversation between Nehal and others, there was an instruction given to Ashish how he should return to India. He explains a lawyer will visit him and he will have to sign documents, and then they will be making a statement in return for 20 lakhs. The judge then went on to observe, I am satisfied there is evidence upon which Nirav should be convicted in relation to conspiracy to pervert the course of justice and conspiracy to pervert the course of justice by threatening to kill Ashish. A prima facie case is established. Viewers, Sanika, Shravan, this is no longer just about money laundering, but this is about a threatening to kill somebody conspiracy that the court had chosen, which is extremely serious, that had been seen forward by the court in the 83-page order. The larger picture, of course, Nirav Modi still has the option of going to the Supreme Court in United Kingdom, but India is at that last threshold to get Nirav back.
Yes, and Rhythm, let me just check if we have Shravan as well joining us in this coverage. We will get him on the line to give us more details as to how the agencies are taking their next move. But Rhythm, if you could take us through the other legalities that Indian agencies will have to face in the United Kingdom as far as Nirav's extradition is concerned. What is the next step for the Indian agencies in this battle?
You know, I think, Sanika, what's going to now happen is when he tries and moves this UK Supreme Court, we just have to see whether the UK Supreme Court will outright dismiss this. The courts in the United Kingdom are extremely particular. Very rarely do they interfere in an order. The Westminster Court's order is crystal clear. Let me first go across also, Sanika, to MR Venkatesh joining us on the phone line. MR, you've seen the battle that India's fought with Nirav Modi. We've seen how Nirav Modi tried to do the scam of 14,000 crores. As someone who understands economics much better than the normal viewer or me, MR, you would know what this means, because we were just reading out how he even tried to threaten to kill a particular witness. It's clear India wins big at a diplomatic level.
Solid in terms of picking up Nirav Modi, because what was being nitpicked by the opposition was that Nirav Modi, at least they alluded to it in more ways than one, that Nirav Modi was allowed to flee from this country with the active connivance of the BJP. Now that this has also come about, the government of the day has proven it beyond any doubt that it means business. It will not tolerate corruption. It will go after looters and gangsters and what have you. And it will not leave any stone unturned till its policy of hot pursuit is pursued to the logical conclusion. Here, Nirav Modi was being touted as some sort of a poster boy of a failure of this policy. And today the government stands vindicated, and they have done extraordinarily well to go after him, and they are extraditing him back to India. It's now one more hurdle has been cleared. And I think it's a matter of time when a plane carrying Mr. Nirav Modi will be landing into India, and then let the Indian law take its own course. I think that's the best thing that can happen, and that will be a very great advertisement for the Narendra Modi government.
Absolutely. And Emma, we also remember how they've poked a lot of they've tried to say a lot of things about the Indian judiciary, whether it's trying to get former Supreme Court judges, whether it's trying to get judges who are a part of another opposition national party, and they've tried to create a doubt on an international level about bias in India's judiciary, which has immediately been shunted out by the 83-page order which said India's judiciary is not at all biased. It took in UK courts to say this, and then when it came to the Arthur Road jail, it was also the Arthur Road jail that they've said is completely fine. In fact, they've also said it's more spacious than a UK prison.
And disgraceful on part of two former judges to have commented about the Indian judiciary in such a low manner. And I'm glad that the world doesn't cognize this, if you pardon me for my words, jokers, and has gone about looking at India as a far mature democracy and has a robust judiciary. We may not agree with every time with what the judiciary does, but I'm sure that the judiciary also has its own way of looking at things, and on a balance. We are a supremely confident nation. We are definitely a robust play of law, and I don't think so that we need to worry about what our former judges have to say about the judiciary or the conditions in the jail. And I think we have to turn around and ask them a question: what did they do? What precious little did they do when they were occupying the high office to remedy the situation? And this has not come about after they have demitted their office. This has come about since 1947. So if that is a fact, what the hell did they do when they were in office? Be that as it may, today is a day of great diplomatic victory for the Narendra Modi government. They have removed the last hurdle to repatriate or extradite Mr. Nirav Modi back to India, and I'm sure the plane carrying him will land sooner than later.